Richmond Independent, San Francisco Progress, Redwood Tribune, Palo Alto Times Tribune, San Mateo Times. They're all gone. And that's why you'll find as you talk to people in here that there's dozens of refugees in here. This is a refugee camp. We have people here from every newspaper in Northern California. We even have some from the Oregonian strike. We have some from the LA Daily News when they closed and got rid of their composing room. This is all refugees here, and we're all about the same age.
Well, I started my apprenticeship in the old Chronicle in 1964, and been working. I work now for the agency, which is a combination of the two papers. So it's more years than I care to think back on. Been a good job. It's paid well. I raised a family on the money I made. It's a good, strong union job. With strong unions, America will prosper.
I'm retiring after 38 years in the business, and I worked for newspapers from coast to coast and border to border, literally. I worked in Brunswick, Georgia, worked in El Paso, Texas. I worked for the New York Times, New York Daily News, New York Post, and Orange County Register, Minneapolis Star, Chicago Tribune, Chicago Daily News. I mean, I've been around.
The men who had been linotype operators really looked down their noses at the typewriters. So all the newspapers all over the country were looking for typists. I didn't know this at the time, but some of the men I knew in the printing trade told me about it, and they said this is the time to get in.
At one time, the printers had a lot more status than they do today because of the technical aspect of the work. Nowadays, it's become a little easier through paste makeup and so forth, so a lot of people say it's an easier job, although the experience that I have in hot metal actually leans over into this job too.
Newspaper techniques were basically unchanged since Gutenberg invented printing in 1496. And they had the hot metal, which was a very cumbersome machinery, needed a lot of heavy lifting, and it was rather slow. When technology changes and computer came into existence, they also invented the typesetting process that is much more up to date, much faster, and as you can see, everything is clean, everything is very neat. It has to be very neat, and right now we are in some kind of a printer's paradise compared to what we had before.
I'm not sure I like the changes that I see happening in our trade, where it seems to be becoming more and more like so much a business, so much more like an office work. And there seems like the encroachment is so much more conformity, which it doesn't feel like the way it used to be. Printing was a trade that had real conditions, real working conditions. Ideas that maybe enlightened societies don't often have. There was always equal pay for equal work. Women always got paid the same as men.
We always had the greatest amount of job control of any work, of any craft or trade I've ever come across. That is that we still do choose our own hours, our days off, when we want to take our vacations, and what kind of work we want to do. We've always been able to choose that. Now, that's the greatest amount of job control imaginable among blue-collar workers.
Can you get somebody to prove this for me, please? Yeah. My pens are in it. Can you check this one so we can go? Same thing? Oh, you got it.
I think it's this one's steady.
That's it. Do a A17. A17? Hey, you got your name on it. Too late.
Okay. It's yours?
Thank you very much.
I think that the opportunities are here now for us to maintain just about what we have. This work, this handwork of doing paste up on pages is going to go away, because what's going to happen is sooner or later they're going to buy equipment to paginate the pages. We already do the advertisements in the other room and ad graphics, and that's all computer work. So the way I see it is that there'll be some of us, not us, we're leaving, but I mean some of the people in this union will survive as highly skilled computer technicians.
You realize that in 1965 there were 4 papers, and they merged into 2 papers, and what they call the chapels, the shops. And each of those 4 papers had a different flavor. You know, like the Chronicle was the progressive chapel. That was the most liberal and the liveliest and the most wonderful chapel. We still refer to our job as being at the Chronicle, even though it's the agency, you know, but we have an affinity for the Chronicle. Not because of the content of the paper, but because of the attitudes of the members.
My first endeavor into the corporate world was making bullets, armor-piercing bullets. And I like being a printer better. And the printing trade is interesting because it keeps changing all the time, and you don't get bored with it. And from one process to the other. So I've seen a lot of processes, and I feel I made a good living at it, and enjoyed being with all you people. So that's about it. What else can you say?
I came here 32 years ago. The first day I was here, an old printer came up and said, "Get out of the trade, kid. It's a dying trade." My first day here, I thought I'd gotten into a great trade, you know, and that was what welcomed me. But I've heard that for 32 years, and who knows what's going to happen.
Well, that's what I think is happening here, is they've outsmarted themselves. They've automated to the point now where the work is so complicated that we're getting back to the old days when you couldn't take somebody in off the street and give them the job to do. So that's, you know, I think the future doesn't look black to me. I wish I was 40 and had the time to stick around, because I think we give them a run for their money.
Most of printing is becoming electronics, and we're looking at a time when most of the paper will be paginated. It'll be done very quickly. There probably won't be a need for printers in the near future. Maybe there'll always be a few printers, but certainly there won't be 500 printers employed by one newspaper in a city this size of San Francisco. So it's sad. It's kind of sad. It's sort of the end of an era, I think.
All right, ready to be initialed and gone.